Donald Trump suffered yet another legal setback this week when District Judge Amit Mehta decided not to accept Donald Trump's legal team's claim that the former president somehow has absolute immunity from the civil lawsuits filed against him by injured Capitol Police officers who say in their lawsuit that Donald Trump is the reason they suffered those injuries because, according to the lawsuit, he is the one who inspired the Capitol riot. Trump's legal team, as we had discussed in the past, went to court, filed a motion, and said, you can't sue this guy. He has what they called absolute immunity because his appearance, they say, at that Stop the Steal rally was just, part of his regular presidential duties. And you can't sue a president, past, current, or future, for doing stuff in the line of duty. Well, Judge Mehta, for the second time this year, by the way, threw out the motion. Said, no, I don't buy it. You're sitting here telling me, and I'm paraphrasing the judge, this is not what he said, but basically this is what he implied. Like, you're sitting here telling me that Donald Trump's appearance at a Stop the Steal rally was somehow part of his presidential duties, when in fact, the judge said, it was his attempt to gain a second term, which, by legal definition, would not be considered a presidential duty. Instead, it would be a campaign activity. And yes, folks, that distinction makes all of the difference in the world. Because if the judge had said, well, yes, it is part of your presidential duties, the lawsuits would have been dismissed. But because it was Trump's attempt to gain a second term in office, it would therefore be classified as a campaign activity, even though the election had already taken place. So yes, that distinction is correct. The judge made the correct ruling. And, by the way, by ruling in that manner, it makes it more difficult for Donald Trump to win upon appeal. Because, as we all know, Donald Trump is most likely going to try to appeal this because he doesn't want to have to face those lawsuits from the 4 Capitol police officers who have filed 3 separate lawsuits against him. Not to mention the fact that the claims of the police officers, that Trump inspired the Capitol rioters to go there and cause havoc and injure them, those claims have been bolstered with the past 2 months of January 6th committee hearings. Donald Trump wanting the armed people to be able to go into the Stop the Steal rally, his insistence that he be allowed to march with them to the Capitol, like physically be the leader that brings them there. Even though he didn't get the opportunity to do it, he tried to. He wanted to. He wanted to be the one to bring them there. And then, of course, that's when the chaos started. That's when the violence started, when those people got to the Capitol. And that's when the injuries started. To be perfectly honest, this sounds like a pretty solid lawsuit brought by these Capitol officers. The only possible thing that I can think of just off the top of my head right now that might hinder these officers' claims is you're a police officer. It is an unfortunate part of the job that sometimes police officers get injured in the line of duty. And you accept that when you accept the position as a police officer here in the United States. Now, that is a possible thing, by the way, that the defense could argue in this case, right? If it does eventually go to trial, Trump's lawyers could go in there and say, have you ever been injured on the job other than that? A police officer is an inherently violent job. You have to deal with violent people. Do you sue everybody who comes after you? Do you sue the people they talked to before they came after you? That's a solid legal argument, believe it or not. And that right now is what I see as one of the big hurdles that these officers face as these lawsuits continue to move forward. But as for the moment, Trump does not have immunity. He has to face the lawsuits. And we'll just have to see what happens upon appeal. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel? We also encourage you to like, comment, and share. But again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.